Welcome to the Shake Up Podcast. I'm your host and co-founder of Mr. Consistent, Jared Bell. This is a podcast where we invite friends of the brand into our studio. We get to know their story a little bit better, chat all things business, culture and marketing, all while shaking up a few cocktails.
And I remember having this moment where I was like, what is actually going on? Like this, I don't want to live the rest of my life just trying to keep up with people.
Hello guys and welcome back to the Shake Up Podcast. I am Sarah, your host, and today we have the beautiful Ange joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Ange, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, I am Ange Simson. It's nice to meet you. And it's nice to be here.
Yay.
I am a mum of 2 and 2, so I'm a kind of stepmom almost. So I've got 4 girls.
Wow.
Live on the Gold Coast. I'm a wellness coach. I have an online wellness program and business. I teach women how to create income on social media. And yeah, what else do you want to know?
Literally anything. That's amazing. So you have the Gratitude Project.
Yes. So the Gratitude Project is my kind of virtual wellness hub.
Yeah.
And it was birthed through just me wanting to get well myself. I had a toxic body, a toxic mind. I was just eating junk food and thinking junk thoughts, and it just wasn't really working. So I went on my own wellness journey like 8 years ago.
Wow.
And I didn't really understand social media or that it could become a business.
That's when that probably would have just started booming, right?
Yeah. I think it was actually almost 9 years ago because my daughter's about to turn 9 and I started when I was pregnant with her.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And yeah, so I started documenting it online and then kind of grew like a little social media community and just was sharing what I was doing, and that's pretty much what I still do. I still just share what I do to stay healthy and keep my mind in a good place.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah. Have you studied, been to uni, done anything like that?
So I dropped out of school after grade 10.
Yeah.
My parents love when I share that publicly.
Yeah. As they would.
But I ended up, when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I actually studied at a place called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Oh, okay.
I did it more to just get healthy myself.
Yeah,
I didn't think I would turn it into a business, but they teach you there so much about like online marketing and social media. So I kind of learned all the beginning stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was really good. It was so handy. And then I was like, wow, people are really into wellness. Like maybe I should do something with this.
Yeah, wellness is like a hot topic.
It is.
I feel like it's only getting hotter as well. Like it's, which is amazing because people are so wanting to look after themselves and indulge in like wellness and self-love and self-care and development, which is great. That's me at the moment too.
Yes,
so
I love that.
How good. I can't wait to chat more about this because it's exciting. It's
so
good. What is your daily routine? What is a day in the life of Ange Simson? Give us a little rundown.
It really depends. Like if I've got my kids, because like I said, there's 4 of them.
Yeah, wow.
And they range from 5 to 14.
Wow.
And so like when the kids are home, it's a very different day to when there's no kids. So when there's no kids, it's like the morning routine is easy. Like I get up, I always move first thing.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of movement or exercise?
Pilates, yoga, or walking. Yeah. I'm really just not a gym bunny.
Yeah, that's
I would love to be.
Totally fine. I got like really into the gym the last maybe 4 months and like cardio, and I've realized my body doesn't like the really intense. And then the last 2 weeks I've been scaling back and I've just been doing Pilates and walking and my body's loving me for it.
Well, and it's that whole thing as well with like, where's your nervous system at? And like, especially with like, you know, when my business is really pumping and there's a lot going on, I'm like, I don't know, going and like overstimulating myself, it actually just, it makes everything harder. So for me, doing the type of exercise that calms me down.
Interesting.
Because I'm pretty like high energy as it is. I'm like, I kind of need things that ground me a little bit more. And then walking. I try and walk every day, but the rain.
So I know. Doesn't it make you frustrated? Like I love going for my walks and you just can't do it when it's
like,
raining.
Where is our sunshine? This is the Gold Coast.
I know. This morning I woke up at 5 and went for a walk with a friend at 5:30 and I got in my car and it started raining and I was like, no, leave. But it was fine. We did our walk and then we did the gym.
Good. So you just got to wear a hat or something.
Yeah, literally.
I know. I'm not used to it though. And so, movement is always first because I feel like that kind of just, then it's done. Like it gets me kind of set up for the day.
Yeah.
And then usually I do a meditation. I use a really cool app called Chakra Girl. She has these awesome little meditations.
Okay.
Again, because I'm like, my mind goes a lot and I'm thinking a lot, it's kind of good to have something that just grounds me back down.
Do you find meditation an easy thing for you?
Not if I'm just like sitting and going, just don't think. I'm like, don't think, don't use my brain. That doesn't work. Like I
need to, like, I've never been able to meditate, and I'm probably much like you where my brain is always going a million miles an hour. Yeah. And when I try and meditate, I just can't switch off.
I need to have someone like guiding me through it.
I need to download that app.
That app's amazing. Okay. So that's really helpful. So I'll do something like that, and then it's just get dressed, get ready for the day, look over my calendar, do work, whatever I need to do. But, you know, it's pretty, like, I'm pretty flexible. I don't have like a very like strict schedule. Yeah. It's not in my human design. It's not in my personality to be like, I'm going to do the same thing every day. I really need variety. So I mix it up and find kind of what works for me.
Oh,
you know?
That's great.
But then when the kids are there, it's like they usually jump into my bed at like 5 a.m. And I love the cuddles. And so we all cuddle, and then it's making breakfasts and lunch and doing all the things. Being a mom. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Do you love being a mom?
I love being a mom. And it's like kind of being like, you know, I co-parent with my ex. It's like you kind of have, you know, it's sad when you're not with them, but it's nice to have that time where I'm like, it's just my time. And like, this is when I really get all my stuff done. Yeah. But then I miss them. And then when I get them back, I'm like, I just want to like be with you all the time now.
Oh, like that's so nice.
I love it.
And are they all at school? Or?
They are now as of this year. So my life has completely changed. Because last year it was like I had 2 days a week where I would kind of just work. Yeah. And then 3 days a week where I had my youngest. And she's like wild. Like if you see her on Instagram, she's like, she's funny, she's sassy, she's like, she's a lot in a good way.
I love that. Yeah. Very cute. I feel like I would have been like that as a kid as well, just a lot.
Probably me
I
too.
I still am a lot, but as an adult, so that's fun. So you have created a community online based on health, happiness, knowledge and connection. Can you explain your main objective for what the Gratitude Project is?
I really just wanted to help people find balance. Mm-hmm. I felt like, especially when I was in my 20s, it was so easy to get caught up in fads and diets. Like I was like, I was vegan, and then I was paleo and keto, and then I was like,
you've tried everything,
cabbage soup diet, and like, and then I was a fruitarian. Like I was so like hunting for what's the thing that's going to make me feel good. Yeah. And I feel like I want people to understand that there needs to be like a balance. Mm-hmm. And so you can go and have tacos and your Mr. Consistent margarita.
Absolutely.
On a weekend. Yeah. It's more so what you're doing most of the time than what you're doing every day. So what you're doing, occasionally. So what you do most days, like going for walks and having smoothies and all of those things, that's so much more impactful than, oh my gosh, I went out and ate a pizza this weekend or something like that. So my objective is to help women to find balance in their mind, in their food, their wellness, their body, and really just like have fun in life. Yeah. Everything doesn't have to be so serious.
No, exactly. You know? Life is here to be enjoyed.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And we need to do that more often in a balanced way.
Yeah.
So how do you help women achieve their goals within the Gratitude Project and the Gratitude Gang?
So I used to do one-on-one coaching. I don't do that anymore, but I have an online wellness program called the Health Hub, which is like recipes, workouts. We have a couple of meditations in there as well. Mm-hmm. And then we do a lot of wellness webinars. So we get different experts in to talk about different things around wellness, like from how to work with the moon and the kind of more like woo-woo stuff to the really practical stuff of like keeping your gut health good and, you know, making sure that you're getting enough nutrients in every day and all of those things. So that's the health side of things. Yeah. And then on the other side of things, I have a like kind of the more mindset and manifestation. I have an online program called Dare to Desire, which is just around more so just understanding the power of your thoughts and how just the small daily actions, and I teach in there a little method that I created on just creating something that you can listen to every day that gets your mind in the right place but also gets you taking the actions towards moving towards your desires. because there's kind of, there's all this trend stuff around manifestation. And I think there's like this misconception that you just think it and it will happen. And I'm like, no, you kind of have to think it, but also do the actions.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Teaching women really cool, practical things that they can do there.
Yeah.
And so they're my two main things, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
When you said like the woo-woo kind of moon stuff, can you touch a little bit more on that? I know like at the moment correct me if I'm wrong, Mercury's in retrograde.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay,
we blame everything.
Yes. What does this mean? Because I'm like getting super into this kind of spiritual world and diving deeper into that. So this is probably my first time where something like this is occurring and I'm like, ooh, what's going on?
I feel like this whole Mercury retrograde thing, like there's a couple of different things that happen. First of all, everyone blames everything on Mercury.
Yeah, okay.
And so everyone will be like, Mercury's in retrograde, so like I'm not going out, or my phone broke, or I missed the appointment, or I didn't show up. And I'm like, don't blame the moon for all the things that are happening. I think that a lot of the things that come up around stuff around the moon and the planets, for me personally, it's just a really good opportunity to kind of inwardly reflect.
Okay, yeah.
And say, okay, where do I need to learn from what's happening here?
Yeah.
But everyone has all their different opinions on that.
Totally.
I really look at Mercury retrograde and I'm like, it's just really a chance to say, am I organized? How are things going for me? Have I got, kind of systems in place? Because usually Mercury being in retrograde affects like technology. So it's like, have I backed up my phone and is everything kind of where it needs to be?
Yeah.
So I'm like, for me personally, it's a time where I reflect, but everyone takes it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So back up your phone.
Yeah, there you go. I've got iCloud backup on.
Okay, good. You're fine.
So that's good.
Good. You're fine.
What would you say are a few of the biggest key indicators that your journey has evolved if that makes sense?
Kind of.
So what would some of the biggest key indicators that leaded you to this journey?
I think there were a couple of things. So first of all, my health journey came because I was suffering with like debilitating migraines. And this was before I had my kids. Yeah. And I was like, I can't have kids and have migraines because have you ever had a migraine?
Yeah, I get them sometimes pretty bad.
And with like the vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get
so
really
like
bad.
I'd be like, I can't
you can't physically look after something.
Totally. I'd be like, how am I meant to look after a kid?
And
I kind of, I would just be like, because I had them from when I was like 14.
Okay, yeah.
And so I was like, it must just be a thing I have, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of just got to a point when I was thinking about, we were thinking about having babies and I was like, I kind of need to do something about this. So I went to a doctor and she was sort of like a holistic GP. And she was like, what are you eating? And my diet was like, so I would wake up and have Cocoa Pops with like skim milk. And then I would have like takeaway for lunch. Like I'd go and get fish and chips or like teriyaki chicken or something. And then I'd eat Arnott's cookies for lunch, for afternoon tea, and then I'd have like a microwave meal for dinner.
Wow.
And then I would have ice cream with chocolate topping.
Oh
like,
my
I'm
gosh.
like, how was I
Yum,
not obese?
but
I
like,
don't know.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't know how but like she looked at my diet and she was like, you're not eating anything fresh. Like you're not really eating any whole foods. Like there's preservatives in the frozen meals. There'd be preservatives in all the sauces that you're having for lunch and like cereals, like really not a health food.
Yeah.
And so she just gave me a challenge. She was like, I just want for like, it was either 4 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
She's like, just eat fruits, vegetables and meat and then like nuts, seeds and oils.
Yeah.
And so I was so like disillusioned to what health was that I bought Doritos because I was like, well, they're made of corn. So that's a vegetable. So I can eat Doritos. Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
Because
ignoring
no one
all the
teaches
preservatives
you.
and stuff.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, corn. Like they're made of corn. So they're fine, right?
Yeah.
And
you kind of think that as well. Like, I know I used to think this way. If it's on the shelf, it can't be that bad for you.
Totally. Yeah. I'd be like, it like, surely it's fine. They wouldn't sell me something that's like making me sick.
Yeah.
They kind of, don't intentionally do that, but some foods do.
Yeah.
And so I did that for like 4 to 6 weeks and just like everything started to get better.
Yeah.
So I noticed, that my skin cleared up. I noticed that I lost a little bit of weight, which wasn't really fat, so to speak. It was more just inflammation from like the bad foods that I was putting in that weren't really agreeing with my system.
Yeah.
And I felt better. I had more energy. And so I was like, I think I'm just going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started. But then I kind of also realized, so I got my physical body healthy, but then I realized I had my daughter, and I think the whole concept around gratitude came up with this. I realized that I was always kind of looking and comparing myself to other people.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, I got my mum car. Like it was like I think it was like a Peugeot something, and you know, had the back. And I was like, and then on Instagram, I was like, oh, this girl's got like a BMW. Like I'd love a BMW. Like just random stuff like that, where I'd be like, oh, like her clothes are really nice, and like, oh, her life looks really nice. And so I started getting into this toxic comparison where I would see other people and I'd be like, well, I need that and I need that. And I would spend money on things to kind of raise my own internal status. And I was like, what is going on here? And I remember having this moment where I was like, what is actually going on? Like this, I don't want to live the rest of my life just trying to keep up with people. Like I'm not happy because of it. There's always going to be someone with more or better, or, you know, doing things in a way that I think I should be doing. I'm like,
Totally.
I just need to figure out how I can like be in the now and love my life now while still growing. I think that growth is really important, but to have that, you know, that certainty of I am where I'm supposed to be and I'm going to get where I need to go. Yeah. If that kind of makes sense. Yeah. So they would be the two things, the health and then the mindset side of things.
And what were you doing before you started the gratitude project?
So before I used to work
this journey.
Yeah. I used to work in fashion retail, and then I also worked in wholesale as well. And I was kind of like training or wanting to become you know, get into sales with, you know, kind of international labels. I was really excited about it. But again, I just, you know, once I got into this, I was like, this really lights me up. Like, I'm really excited to talk about this. And I think when you find that thing, the universe kind of just puts you on path.
Totally.
And so there's, you know, the Instagram thing was really easy. I had a few friends who had connections with like, you know, bigger brands like Lorna Jane. And she was like, do you want to do like an interview with their blog? And I'm like, yeah. And back then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on the internet, like on someone's blog. This is amazing. And so it just, it really like grew organically from there. And I think it was just because the universe is kind of like, you're doing the right thing. Keep going, you know? Yeah.
So the Gratitude Project, your Instagram, how many followers does that have now? Like, what's your audience?
85,000 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't checked lately.
That's a lot. How many did you have at the time when Lorna Jane interviewed you, say?
Oh, like 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, like nothing. Like I have screenshots of like, because they posted about it on their Instagram, and I remember being like, oh my gosh, they posted about me and it got to like 4,000, and just being like, this is so cool. Like I could start a business here, and like
that's awesome.
I can impact all these people. And it just, you know, I think the thing I like about the community and the Gratitude Project page is it really is a community, and it's a really, like, it's a sisterhood. I don't really get trolls or bullying or anything like that. Yeah. And so I'm always like, you know, you kind of look at people with like 1 million followers and I'm like, wow, what comes with that? Yeah. It's a lot. But I love the community.
Love what it's
everyone.
about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Everyone would be like on the same page and just wanting the best for each other.
Totally.
And oh, that's really nice. Yeah. Have you ever kind of met up with your community in person?
Yeah. So I've done like over the years, we've done like events. So I've done like you know, I've partnered up with friends and we've thrown our own little what's the word I'm looking for?
Like meet.
Yeah, like meet and greets, but like share, like, you know, where we share and kind of, you know, give them tips on things. We did an event once called Genuine Connections, where we were just teaching people how to make friends with people who are like-minded, and, you know, like we've done some really cool stuff.
It's hard to meet people as well, I think, especially these days, like meeting people who are like-minded.
Totally.
And who you align with. Like moving here from Sydney, as I was saying earlier, like I didn't know anyone when I moved up here. I moved up for work and I've met amazing people at work and outside of work, but it took me a while to kind of find people who I aligned with and who are like-minded. And now that I have those people, it's amazing.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Like you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So it's like, make sure they're good people that you like, because you're kind of turning into them. Yeah.
If you don't, like if you realize it or don't realize it, you are.
Yeah. You're the average of them, right?
Absolutely.
No. But I've made most of, like, not most of, that's probably overstatement. But out of my friendship group, probably half of them are people I met through Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, like my really close friends, like just through, you know, again, like similar interests, being in the same, you know, back when we used to use Facebook, like the same groups and doing the same courses. It's actually kind of cool.
Social media is so good for that.
Yeah.
So good. And I love, like, I don't know if it's just a Gold Coast thing, but how friendly everybody is as well.
Yeah.
And so many people are so willing as adults to like make genuine connections and make friendships, which I love.
Yeah.
So good.
The Gold Coast is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How imperative is it to implement all that the Gratitude Project is into your daily life?
It's not. Just do what feels right and what you love. Like, I'm very much of the mindset of like, you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's my biggest thing is when you're drawn to something, like lean into that. And when you feel yourself, you know, loving a certain modality, like learning about the moon and the planets and things like that, or maybe it's about manifestation, or maybe it's about health and food and or movement, whatever it is, like lean into the things that you start to feel could be for you. I'm like, I know this sounds really crazy, but I'm like, just do stuff that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, do you not feel good when you meditate? Because everyone says to me, they're like, yeah, I actually feel really good after I meditate. And I'm like, so why aren't you doing it every day? And it's like, oh, I don't have time.
It's becoming like self-aware as well. Like what makes you feel what and who you're with, how they make you feel.
Totally.
I feel like that helps me the most as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, just checking your energy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's chat about all things manifestation.
Yeah.
I love manifestation and I feel like it's helped me a lot in life.
Good.
So holds a close place to my heart.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who struggles with meditation and manifestation, and how would you work on that?
The two things to me are really different, meditation and manifestation. So manifestation is really, to me, just honestly believing that what you want can come to you. And so we kind of talk about it. It's like, you know, like attracts like, and if you can vibrate at the same frequency of what you desire, you can attract it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And so I've got like a million examples of things that I've manifested.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you can just get in the right state of attracting rather than repelling. And I think kind of one of the biggest mistakes around manifesting that I see is people try to manifest what they don't want. So they'll say, you know, I don't want bad traffic today, or I don't want to gain weight, or I don't want to, you know, be in a relationship with a narcissist. And they think about what they don't want without realizing that when your focus is going towards what you don't want, the traffic, weight gain, the narcissist, you're actually vibrating at that level and you're attracting that.
Yeah.
And so when people are constantly saying things like, I really don't want this, I really don't want that, and they keep getting it, it's like, no, you need to focus on what you do want.
Yeah,
like, what do you want to create? What do you want to call in? And just, you almost need to, you know, a lot of people will say, just act as if.
Yeah.
So act as if it's already happened. It's like, if it's a health thing, I don't know if you can manifest health, but I think you can manifest yourself to take the action to get the type of health that you want.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, my whole thing when I was getting healthy and, you know, curing myself of migraines and like skin and all the things was to constantly ask myself, what would the healthiest version of me do right now?
Okay.
Or what would a healthy person do right now? So I would wake up in the morning and I'd be like, do I want Cocoa Pops? And I'd be like, what would a healthy person do? I'd be like, okay, a healthy person would make a green smoothie or make a juice or have like a muesli or like something else. I'm like, they would focus on having whole foods. So I was like, okay, right, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And it'd be like lunchtime, I'd be like, what would a healthy person do? And so it's just, you know, constantly thinking about what you want to bring in.
Yeah.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And how about meditation? Like, what is
if you
that
struggle
good
with
for?
it?
Yeah. How can you kind of get into that mindset?
It's just, you know what? It sounds so corny, but it's just quiet the mind. Like, it's just, you know, there's so much. And I think for our generation especially, there's always so much coming in.
Yeah.
Like, her friend said to me the other day, she's like, when you go, like, in your house, a house is 3 levels. She's like, when you go downstairs, do you take your phone? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, I just noticed that I'll go to get something, but I'll take my phone with me everywhere I go. And she's like, I don't need it. Like, I'm going down to put the washing on and I'm going straight back up, but I take my phone with me.
Yeah.
She's like, she's like, I'm like addicted to the stimulation.
Yeah.
And so, like people before us didn't have this as much, right? Like it was like you weren't constantly available. You weren't constantly like getting notifications and being told. And so, you know, we need to let our brain just have a moment and our mind just have a moment.
Yeah.
And for some people, our body, because some people like me, like are very go and like fidgety and like always moving. And so it's like you just need to give your body a moment to just calm down and reset and like quiet the mind a little bit. And you do see things so much clearer when you do that.
Okay.
Because you kind of give yourself space.
Yeah.
The way I explain it to people is like an unresolved thought, it kind of becomes a bit of a loop. So what happens is you kind of have this thought and your brain goes into problem solving, but because of all the stimulation around us, you'll start to problem solve, but then like your phone will go off or something will happen outside or your partner will yell out from the other room and you're like, oh, okay, I'll finish that thought later. So you kind of, you know, you break the loop and then you start it again. And then you don't often sit and just allow thoughts to finish, right? Because we're always like multitasking and going in different directions. And so meditation can be like quiet the mind and just let it just chill.
Yeah.
But it can also be like a place where you get answers.
Yeah.
Like I'll often sit there and I'll be like, you know, I'm kind of meditating, but I'm also kind of just like going through something and I'm like, I'll get out of it and I'll be like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do now.
Gotcha.
So it kind of just gives your mind the space again without the stimuli, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say journaling is like a form of meditation in that sense? I journal every night. Like I make a conscious effort to get my thoughts out.
Yeah.
Because I struggle with meditation. That's kind of what I've resorted to. And I either get all my thoughts and feelings out or I will then like resolve things, which is great.
Yeah. So good. Journaling's amazing. Like just writing things down, getting them out of your head and onto paper.
Yeah.
Like even for me when I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, just write a list of all the things on my mind.
Yes.
And I'll come back and think of them later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some people at home who maybe are struggling with journaling or meditation, what are some journal prompts that you would suggest someone to start journaling with?
I love the prompt. So one of my favorite journal prompts is, what is the best that could happen here? And so just like kind of looking at a situation and this is kind of manifesting as well, asking yourself like, well, what's the best situation that could happen here? Like what's the outcome that I want? Because again, if you think about all the things that could go wrong, you could call them in.
Yeah.
You could get them kind of in your realm and you don't want that.
Yeah.
So what's the best that could happen? What's another one that's really impactful? What do I need right now?
Okay.
Yeah. And I like sometimes it's like you kind of read that and you're like, what do I need right now? And you're not like, you know.
You know what you need. Yeah.
And again, this is like the gratitude projects. Like my whole thing is about you actually know. Like you don't need to be told what foods to eat. You don't need to be told when you need to take a break. You don't need to be told all these things. You actually know.
Yeah.
Like
you need
innately
to have that
in you.
Self-discipline as well.
Yeah, it's self-discipline. It's like it's self-trust as well. Like you have to have full trust in like, I know where I'm going. I know what's right for me. Yeah. Because you do. Like intuitively you know, right? Yeah. Do I eat the burger or do I make like a healthy curry? Like probably a curry is a better option. Yeah. Like, do I sleep in or do I go for a walk? Or probably going for a walk is a better option, right? But then some days you wake up and you'll be like, no, sleeping in is the better option right now. I need to sleep in. Like my body needs rest. So
listen to your body.
Listening.
And don't feel guilty. Like last week I was exhausted. Like my body had finally like caught up to me and like
the
how go I was.
Everything.
And, I was just dead. And every morning I wake up and go to the gym and 3 mornings in a row I slept through my alarm and that never happens. And I'm like, okay, clearly I needed this sleep and that's okay. Yeah. And get back into it next week.
Yeah.
But
100%.
it was hard. Like I felt so guilty. I remember because a few of us girls at work go to the gym together. I'd message them like, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't show up for you or myself. Like, and just like the guilt, they're like, that's okay. You needed that sleep.
Totally.
True.
You showed up for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a different way.
yeah, exactly. And don't have like a attachment to what it's supposed to look like because it's going to change in different seasons. And as you like, you know, someone who has kids and someone who doesn't, like everything is going to change. So if you're too like, I don't know, gripping on too tight to what it should be, then you don't let it be what it is. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Good thinking. I like that. How has manifestation changed your life?
I believe we manifest everything.
Yes.
Like, I think, I live by the principle of 100% full responsibility for everything. And so this is a really confronting kind of concept for some people, because it's essentially saying, and as a disclaimer, I take out anyone who's suffered abuse or anything like that. This doesn't count for those instances. But, where you are right now is because of your decisions, your choices, where your finances are, the relationship that you're in, where your health is at right now. That's like, you have to take responsibility for all the choices of where your life is now, because when you take responsibility for that, you do really take your power back of where you're going from there. Okay. So if we live in kind of like this victim mentality of, this happened to me because, my parents did this, or my partner doesn't support me here, or, the one I hear all the time is, but my partner eats really unhealthy food, so it's really hard for me to be healthy. I'm like, you can still eat healthy food. You can be the example, right? But if you can take full responsibility for where you're at and really just own, like, my life is where it's at because of the decisions I've made, not because of anyone else, then you take the control and the power back of, okay, what I do from now is all on me. It's not like no one can take away my future. No one can take away what's going to happen. And so I kind of believe that, like, manifesting is always happening, because I'm like, we make choices to create the life we have. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I kind of say we manifest everything. The only thing we can't manifest is other people's actions.
Totally.
Everyone has free will. So you can't be like, I want to manifest that guy like me, because it's like, no. It doesn't work that way. But you can kind of put yourself in that place of like, I can become the type of person who the type of man I would love to be with would really love, like a partner who's loyal and faithful and fun and sexy and all the things. Like, I can become that and attract the person to me.
100%. Yeah. I was having this conversation, I don't remember who it was with the other day, but that's right. My friend was saying she has a list. No, it was actually, I remember now.
Is it a partner list?
Yeah, a partner list. And I said, okay, but are you ticking those boxes?
Totally.
So, yes, there are boxes to be ticked that you want it in a partner, but if you're not ticking them yourself, you can't expect them in a person, because you like attracts like.
Totally. Please throw out the list, everyone. If you have a list, I think actually, my boyfriend taught me this. He's like, you can have your top 3 non-negotiables with a partner. Like, whatever that thing is for you, you can pick your top 3 non-negotiables. Like, I'm not dating someone who's like this, or I'm only dating people with that. Pick your 3 most important, right? Like, for some people, it might be, I'm only dating someone who wants kids. Okay, because that's important. Or it might be like, I'm only dating someone who values health, because health is really important to me. Like, whatever it is, pick your top 3. But other than that, the question needs to be, okay, if I could attract my ideal person, who do I need to be to call them in? Who do I need to be to attract them? Stop being like, you do all the work and come here, perfect man. Like, work on you and making you the person that, is just totally radiating all the stuff that person would go, I want that in a partner,
and then you'll attract each other.
Totally.
And then a little dream couple will happen.
Exactly.
Oh, maybe one day. Have you looked into quantum leaping or jumping going off?
Not massively. I don't have a whole lot around that, no.
Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I keep telling myself I'm going to look into it, so I need to do that.
Okay. I know of people who do, who are way more qualified to talk about than me, so I'll send you some.
Yes, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think as well, like, I don't know if it's really quantum leaping or jumping, but as you were saying, like, when you're manifesting, you have to visualize it and feel it and live as if it was happening.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. There you go. What are some healthy, mindful habits that you recommend adding into your daily routine that can be implemented right away?
I think definitely gratitude. I mean, it's kind of obvious. Like, I feel like I'm the gratitude person. But like, there are a couple of different ways you can do it. First of all, just waking up in the morning and thinking about what you're grateful for. Like having a notebook next to your bed where you write it down. Yeah. It just, like, what blows my mind is I'm like, it's free. It doesn't take much time. Yeah. And it's so impactful. I'm like, people need to do it more. So just write it down. But when you do it, being like, I'm grateful for the roof over my head, or I'm grateful for the meal I had, it's really not enough. So essentially you want to recall experiences. That's a really good way to do it, because if you relive an experience by writing it out or rethinking it, your body actually releases the happy hormones again. So like the good things that happened, you kind of let more of it out, right?
Yeah, okay.
And so gratitude would definitely be the first one. Stop comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Get rid of anyone on social media who makes you feel like you're not enough.
Yeah.
Like we follow these people who you're like, they're so amazing. Their life looks so amazing. It's like, stop following them.
Yeah.
If someone triggers you to think you're not good enough, just like, bye, get rid of them.
See ya.
and follow people who inspire you to be a better you.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like social media doesn't have to be a toxic place every day.
Totally.
Like you can make it what you want to make it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think so many people like demonize social media. Like, oh my gosh, people are so disconnected. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, you can also use it for good. Like like I said, I found my closest friends.
Yeah.
I use it to follow people who impact, and I use it to try and impact myself, other people. So I think it can be a really good place if you use it correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Use it for the good.
Use it for the greater good.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the biggest shifts that you've noticed in your gratitude gang members once they have implemented some of your practices?
I think the biggest thing for like anyone who does the work is they start noticing what's happening for them in their life a lot faster. So we had a girl, I've got a girl right now, she's just finished Dare to Desire.
Yeah.
And I gave them all a activity for those that were wanting to call something physical in, and she wanted to call in money, a big amount of money. And so I gave her an activity to do, and it's been a day since she's done the part that she needs to do. She wants to, I'm not going to say who it is, so I can tell you her story, but she wants to, she needs $12,000 in the next 3 months, like on top of what she already makes.
Right.
And so I gave her like the process, and she's messaged me this morning and she's like, oh my gosh, Ange, she's like, 500 from here. I just got 1,000 from there. There was like 75 that came from there. And she's like, it's like starting, like all this stuff is just coming in. Wow. And I'm like, oh wow, that's really cool. So the program does it in the way of like, it kind of just gives people like, okay, here's what you do, but also here's the mindset to follow through with it, you know? Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And about financial freedom and money, let's touch on that a little bit.
Yeah.
How do you keep on top of your finances, or how would you advise a young adult to keep on top of their finances in an expensive world where everything keeps inflating?
I'm learning still.
Yeah, totally.
I'm learning. I'm definitely not an expert in this area, but I'm really lucky. My beautiful cousin, Betsy, her name's Betsy Westcott, and she is a women's finance coach.
Oh, cool.
And I love what she does because she's kind of made finances feminine. Like, you look up stuff around finances and banks and money, and it's like all blue and men. And she's like, no, I'm making it sexy. Like, I'm making it fun.
Yeah.
And she taught me some really cool things just, around knowing, I think the main thing for me was knowing my expenses every month.
Yeah.
And knowing kind of, okay, well, what's left over after that? And then I have, with that kind of gap of like, okay, I've paid all my bills in my business and my life, and then there's this certain amount left over that I put into different accounts based on percentages. So there's my spending, fun, going shopping. There's like a holiday fund, there's an investment fund, there's a savings fund.
Yeah, right.
And so that's been really good. And then the biggest tip she gave me was to have 3 months worth of every single expense in an account, so that if anything ever happens, you've got, well, she says 3 to 6 months. I've got 3 months right now. I want to build it up to 6. But, having, especially for women, because I feel like for women, financial certainty is really important to us. And especially as we like start having kids and get a little bit older, it's like you want to make sure that you're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And having that, like for me, just having that fund, I'm like, I'm good.
Cool.
Like if anything happened, like if my business went down for some reason, if I couldn't make income anymore, like I'm good. I've got this. Like I've got 3 months worth of expenses. So I've got 3 months to figure it out,
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that for everyone. Just
definitely
have that as a priority. Like before you start kind of saving for holidays and doing things, just like, all right, I'm getting this money in that bank account.
It's so hard to know what to save for these days too. Like I'm at the age where I'm like, do I save for a holiday or a house?
Yeah.
Or like what is going on? And like,
I think like if I could give a tip, because you're young and like you've got the whole like world ahead of you.
Literally, yeah.
You want to figure out young how to make your money work for you.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people right now are working for money. So a lot of people are trading time for money. A lot of people are, you know, living week to week, month to month, all of those things. And the smartest thing you can do is figure out, how does my money work for me? So like property is obviously how most people would do something like that. Stocks, a lot of people are getting into crypto right now. Yeah. But figure out like, how does my money work for me? How do I make it so that, you know, and look at your future and say, maybe when you're like, maybe you say when you're 40. You know, for most people it's 60. But maybe say when I'm 40, I don't want to have to work anymore. I want to have assets. I want to have them paying me. I want to have people in my properties paying me rent so that I don't have to. That's such a good
way to flip that kind of mindset of like, how am I working for money to how money is working for me. Yeah. That's great. I've never thought of it like that before.
There's a great book called Rich Woman.
Okay.
There's Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and then his wife, I think her name's Kim Kiyosaki. I don't know that. I can't remember. She wrote a book called Rich Woman, and she speaks about this as well.
Oh, wow.
Because I always say, like, I'm like, why I do what I do? I think that we need more money in the hands of women doing good things.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
What would you suggest to someone when they're feeling stuck and lost? Like, what are some of the best practices to get clarity, gain clarity and find their purpose?
Stuck and lost in life, in career.
Life,
all of
career, all of the above, every aspect.
I think you got to look to what lights you up. Like, you got to look to, like, you know, if I could consciously co-create the perfect life for myself, what does that look like? What am I doing every day? And knowing that a lot of our fulfillment comes with service and impact.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, they might not feel completely fulfilled in their life because they're not really being of service in whatever way possible. So not, you know, giving back to others, not impacting the world in a positive way. And, you know, I think we're on this, like, a lot of people are just on this hamster wheel where it's like, work to make enough money to survive so that you can get 2 days off a week, then maybe have 4 weeks worth of holiday, and then just continue to do that for 50 years.
Yeah, like, how long do you do that for?
Literally. Like, and some people will just get stuck in that kind of matrix of like, I'm just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and sometimes that is totally okay for some people. Like, that's the life they want to live, and that's absolutely fine.
Exactly.
This episode is brought to you by Shake Up Studios. To thank you for your support, head to mrconsistent.com.au and use code SHAKEUP10 at checkout for your discounted Mr. Consistent cocktails today.
You guys are doing here.
Yeah.
Like, so I make alcohol fun and easy. Like, we make it, like, you know, exciting. And like, you know, I know Mr. Consistent is for men and women, but I'm like, it's kind of girly and I like it, right?
Yeah.
And like, you have a podcast where you guys share cool stuff. Like, your impact is spreading and going, okay, cool. So I'm doing this amazing thing. But if someone's feeling like, you know, I'm not in that place where I feel totally fulfilled with life, well, what lights you up? What makes you happy? What makes you smile? And like, taking time with that.
Yeah.
And talking to people, my biggest tip would be talk to people who have the life that you want.
Yeah.
So like, we go and get advice from like our girlfriends who, you know, maybe don't have what we want. Maybe they're not financially, you know, super stable. Maybe they're like, you know, their health isn't great, or they're out drinking every weekend, like to the point of passing out. And we kind of, I know for girls, and especially for me in my 20s, it was like, they were the girls I was asking for advice from. Like, I would ask for relationship advice from my single friends, or like, you know, I'd be like complaining about money to my friends who were as broke as I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go and find the people in real life or on social media, and if they've got what you want. But like, again, like, if they've kind of got most of the things that you value, right? Talk to them and get advice from them.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, those people are willing to talk to you and help you.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
That's so good. I did that my final year of uni. One of the subjects I did was, I think it was like personal brand and development or something. It was super random, but really helpful. And our lecturer told us to find someone in the industry that we want to be in and contact them. Find a way to contact them and just say, can I have some of your time, pick your brain, and like really immerse yourself into that. Yeah. And I found that so helpful. I spoke to Bridget from Beck and Bridge, and it was amazing. Like, I worked for Beck and Bridge for a little bit, interned there, and like just learnt so much. And I was surprised for someone who is so high up in that industry, how willing they were to give their time to me for free. Yeah. Like, just to help someone who was keen to pick their brain and learn and who looks up to them. So that was really cool.
Most people who aren't in survival mode will do that for sure. I think it's the people who are like, oh my gosh, I'm like just getting by. They're like, I don't have time. I can't give. Like, or if I'm giving, I have to get something back. It's like, that's not a nice place to be.
Yeah. I found like a lot of people, I don't know if it's just at the moment this year, but everyone I talk to is just surviving. Like we're not here to survive. We're here to live.
Totally. And I think COVID, like, I hate talking about COVID again.
I know,
but it's like it has.
It's like, it's impacted everyone and they're just surviving and they're not like living and thriving.
Yeah.
Sad.
The last 2 years has been hard. And I don't know if it's going to get a lot easier. Like I don't know 100%, but apparently maybe there's going to be a big recession and like what they're calling the global resignation. Like so many people quitting their jobs and they're like it's just like, I feel like there's a lot of change right now.
So much change.
Yeah. And people are just like, all right, how do I manage all this change?
It's scary.
Yeah.
I feel like as well, someone going through their 20s and like navigating their life. It's like, what am I meant to be doing?
Yeah. What am I supposed to be doing here?
Yeah. It's weird.
Just keep getting educated. That would be my thing. Keep educating yourself on how you can
definitely
do what feels right for you.
Yeah. Cool. So we asked some of our like audience on Instagram, our listeners, some questions for you. So I'm going to ask a few of them. One of our beautiful listeners have asked, have you looked into how the universe responds to us and how different times can affect our feelings? Example, the current Mercury Retrograde.
Yes. Okay, so I love this stuff. And I'm like, my partner, he always laughs because I follow day to day, I follow something called the chi cycle.
Okay, what's that?
So it's essentially like every 2 hours, our energy in our body moves to a different organ, which allows us to thrive in a different way.
What?
And so
I have never heard of this. This is amazing. Okay.
This is where I get really woo-woo. So
I love it.
Basically, I've got a story highlight on my Instagram where I kind of share it and like what energy goes to what part. But there are certain times of the day where having heart-centered conversations is really easy. There are certain times of the day when you benefit more from exercise. There are certain times of the day when you should be in like create and like work and like do mode. And so I follow that. And then I also follow, there's different energy. There's different ruling planets for every day of the week.
Yeah.
So for example, Monday is a really good creative day. Like it's really good to kind of not do too many work calls, but to really be in your creative zone and create.
Okay.
And so, I'm kind of like, I schedule.
So is this like in like general? Like
like you can find, I mean, everyone who resonates with it.
Okay. Gotcha.
And you can find it online. Like you just look up ruling planets for different days of the week and you can like there'll be so much info out there, but
cool.
Yes, I also have that. Like I plan my week of like where possible, I try and just have Monday as like I just create, like I don't do too much kind of like work calls, things like that.
Okay.
And Friday is like a really good kind of day for like doing the things for you.
Yeah.
And then Saturday is really good for organization.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I'm ever doing stuff around the house, I kind of plan, I'm like, I'm going to do that on Saturday. And Sunday is like vitality day. So Sunday is a really good day to be eating really clean, healthy food. Your body's going to absorb nutrients better. And then I also follow.
I love this.
This is like, again, and this is just like, again, it's trial and error and what's worked for me. And I found that these 3 things work really well. But then I also do cycle syncing, which is following like my cycle through the 28 days.
Yeah.
And like I noticed, when I was learning about it, like, I noticed that the week before my cycle, I need, I normally intermittent fast. So I don't really start eating until 11 or 12 o'clock. But the week before my cycle, I'm hungry when I wake up. So I'm like, okay, eat there. I'm not social for like about a week out of every month because I'm like, it's the lead up before where I don't really feel like I want to be super social, and then the week off or the couple of days of. And then after that, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm social. I even film social media like stories when I'm kind of in that week before and week of.
Yeah.
I don't really get on social media, but I pre-film stuff.
Okay.
Sorry to all the men listening, but I pre-film stuff when I'm ovulating.
Okay.
Because studies have shown that you're more attractive when you're ovulating.
Oh, no way.
There's more blood flowing into your cheeks and your face. Your boobs are a little bit bigger.
There you go.
But not only to men, you're more attractive to females as well in the way that they're kind of more engaged by you, and you communicate a lot better when you're ovulating. So I actually film important content when I'm ovulating. I only do photo shoots when I'm ovulating because you don't retain water during that time. So like,
wow, you have it all figured out.
I really don't. I'm still learning. But those 3 things for me, like just looking at my day and just, it's not like I'm like, well, I can't do, it's 11 o'clock, so I can't do this because my chi energy isn't there. But it's just being mindful of like, I'll thrive more at this time.
Yeah.
And I'm not super strict on it because I'm not super strict on anything. I'm really like, again, the balance thing. But having just this like kind of framework that I'm like, okay, if I feel a certain way, I can kind of look at it and be like, okay, maybe because my energy's not in the right place right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things around that I follow.
Oh my gosh.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah. I think like we live in a very intelligent universe.
Yeah.
And very smart. Yeah. Interesting.
And you just got to find what works for you.
I'm going to have to look more into this.
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard of that. So amazing.
I'll try and put more in my story. The chi cycle one's there. I'll try and put the other stuff in there as well in my highlights so you can learn.
So good. I'm going to have a look after this. So you also chat about having meaningful connections with your soul sisters.
Yeah.
What would you say is the catalyst to a beautiful soul fulfilling friendship?
So I used to have, a friend of mine that I met on Instagram, Kate Cattle and I remember we had this dinner one night where we realized I was terrified of females because I went to an all-girls school.
Wow.
In my final year there, I kind of like, was a little bit ostracized from friends. I feel like everyone's like, I was bullied at school, but it was kind of just like I just got in a bit of the wrong crowd and like didn't have a great experience. And so we worked out, there's a name for it, fear of females. It's called gynophobia. And she was gynophobia.
Ah.
And we had this funny night out. We were out, I don't know, at a Japanese restaurant eating and laughing about it. And she was like, you need to get over your fear of females. And so we actually sat and like brainstormed. We were like, okay, how do we have genuine, meaningful connections? And because of that kind of hesitancy to trust females, I was always a little bit guarded.
Yeah.
So I would share a lot with, my partner, my husband at the time.
Yeah.
But I would always like when it was with girls, I was always a little bit like
closed off.
Yeah. Don't show too much. Don't share too much.
Oh, wow.
And so I went through like an intensive where I was like, right, I'm just going to be more open with my girls and like I'm going to like, talk to them more and really share how I'm feeling and like really just get a little bit uncomfortable with this. And so I kind of had to retrain myself that it was a safe space, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think just like, you're going to be able to feel it. There are some people you'll meet and they don't have the best intentions for you.
Yeah.
And then there are some people you meet and you're just like, oh my gosh, this person.
And I feel like when you know that as well. Like I went for a walk with a friend this morning and we have only known each other for like a month or so. We met at the gym and we were saying like the connections we've made recently at the gym, you know that they're good friends and you know that you can trust them, and we've had amazing conversations. And I'm like, I barely have known these girls for that long, but like the connections are just so real and authentic and you feel comfortable and safe. And I think I'm someone who overshares a lot and sometimes it doesn't work in my favor because I share too much and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. But at the same time, I feel like because I am an oversharer, I make other people comfortable to share as well and trust. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Sharing's a good thing sometimes.
Sharing is a good thing.
And it will help you make genuine connections.
Exactly. It's like you said, if you can do it for someone, like if you can show someone else that it's safe to be vulnerable, then they feel the same for you.
Yeah, exactly. Same goes in like relationships.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
There you go. How would you like to see your work change the lives of young people all over the world through the Gratitude Project?
I just would love, I think kind of like I said at the beginning, I would just love for people to stop comparing themselves to very filtered highlight reels online. I would really like for people to, understand the gift that we have in life right now. And it just, one of my biggest things is it doesn't have to be like I said before, that working really hard maybe in something you don't love for 5 days a week to get 2 days off, not being fulfilled in your life. I feel like there's too many people living in that way, and we see it in like depression and anxiety, like the rates are rising ridiculously. And I'm like, I feel like it's because people haven't found their purpose and their passion. Yeah. And so I want people to really start to just, more than anything, really commit to, I'm going to be happy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of I'm going to be rich or I'm going to be skinny or I'm going to like have that awesome job. It's like, no, just commit to like, I'm going to be happy.
Literally. That's my goal at the moment is to be happy.
Be happy. Yeah.
I like have had so many of these conversations lately and people are like, what's your goal right now? I'm like, genuinely to be happy.
Yeah.
And then everything else will flow from that.
Totally. And it's no one else's job but yours. And every part of what happens from here, it's up to you to make it what you want to make it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good. I love these kind of conversations. They make me like excited for life.
I love it.
Which is great.
Good.
I have loved chatting with you and having you on the Shake Up podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Where can people find you, all your handles, all of that stuff we can leave in the show notes?
Mostly Instagram, which is at gratitude_project.
Beautiful.
Or you can just search my name, Ange Simson. And then my website, which is just thegratitudeproject.com.
Awesome.
Just Google it. It's the easiest way. And other than that, I don't hang out many places. I have a TikTok.
Are you on TikTok much?
So I did
I
one
love TikTok.
like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And like back then it went viral, like got 1 million views. It was with my daughter.
Oh, cute.
During COVID. It was actually so funny.
Oh my God, you'll have to show me after this.
I will. And then I just didn't really do anything with it. And sometimes I'll like post my reels to TikTok. I'm like, maybe we'll see what happens there, but I'm really lazy with it. I probably need to get on the TikTok bandwagon.
TikTok is so good. And I feel like my For You page right now is literally all of you, like your kind
This
of stuff. Like gratitude and self-love and development. So I feel like you would thrive on there.
Okay, I'll get onto it.
Need to get onto
I'll
it.
do it.
Oh my gosh, fun.
I love it. But yes, well now you can find me on TikTok.
Yes, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
We'll leave all of those
I don't even know my TikTok name.
Oh my gosh. Is it the Gratitude Project? Or
It is. I think it might be my name. I don't know.
Gosh.
I'll check after this
You have
and
to
it'll
make
be
it
in the
all
show
consistent. So good. Well, thank you so much
Thank
again
you.
for coming on the podcast and chatting all things wellness,
Anytime.
health. Thanks so much. Thanks, guys.
Woo! Woo!
That's today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, leave a review. Go show the Shake Up some love and stay connected. Don't forget you can watch all of our episodes on YouTube. Also, jump over to our Shake Up Cocktail Gang Facebook page where you can find out who's coming up on the podcast. And if you've got questions for them, I'll ask the bloody questions. You can also use the code SHAKEUP for 10% off on mrconsistent.com.au. Thank you so much for listening. And just remember, shit, that's fresh.